Hello and welcome to this episode of the Nature of Education podcast. Today I'm going to be speaking with Patrick Heffernan. Patrick is a wellbeing facilitator and a musician, and he's great at both of those things. He also works for us at Wolf Academy, delivering workshops and trainings. And we're going to have a chat today. So yeah, thank you for joining us, Patrick. How are you today?
Thanks for having me here, Cormac. I'm great. Yeah, it's a lovely day out there. Blue sky now. The cows are in the sun. So I'm feeling good right now.
Yeah, great to hear. You were telling me you were outside there with the kids, enjoying the sunshine and the rain. So it's good to hear it.
Yeah.
And I think that's something. I'm smiling coming on the podcast because I think something about yourself that I've noticed of knowing you over the last couple of years is you bring great energy to everything that you do and everywhere that you go. And yeah, there's never any negativity. I think I've heard people saying, it's terrible weather out there, and you'd always come back with something like, the trees need the rain or the plants need the rain or whatever it is. But yeah, that view on life. And is that something you've always had, that positive outlook?
Yeah, it has been, I suppose. It's not something that I've really thought about, but it's nice to look on the bright side, and it's good to look on the dark side too. But we have a choice at the end of the day what we choose to see. So like where we are here on this great island, we have all kinds of weather, and that's a perfect place to start with changing how we see things, because we could spend all day complaining about the weather, or we could just see it for what it is and find some joy there. Or if it is miserable out, maybe we have to just feel miserable with it for a while and know that it will change. So there's great lessons there in the wind and the weather.
Yeah, I love that. From what you're saying there, it feels like just acceptance of what is rather than fighting against it. And it's funny because we're talking about the weather, so Irish of us, but it is important to just when you learn that acceptance, and it's not about. I think sometimes people are bringing this positivity that can become almost toxic in a sense that it's like overly fake, and it's like avoiding of the dark stuff. And I like the way you say, looking at the dark as well, and just accepting if it is miserable and you need to feel miserable, just allowing that to happen, and just being with what's present and not trying to deny that either. So
like we could have a great conversation here for the next hour about the weather, and it'd be lovely, because at least we'd be talking about something. I was in a place there today in town, and there was two fellas beside me, and they just sat down beside each other and they started talking about the weather. And a lot of the time these days, us humans go into shops and out of shops without talking to anybody about anything. So at least if we're talking about the weather, we're at the beginning of something.
Yeah, it's a good point. It is a nice introduction for people to start, because it can be hard to know where a conversation is going to go. So it's sometimes easy for people to start talking about the obvious, what's going on outside, because it's changing all the time.
Yeah, and it's also another way that we can avoid talking about what's going on inside, because we all find our own ways of avoiding that. But it's something that we like to try to bring into the spaces in the schools. And yeah, you can see when we do that and the feedback we get from the students, it's like, it's not a very common thing yet. So
Yeah, that's a good point. And I think when I'm chatting to yourself or other friends, we might be used to speaking about our inner worlds as well, and you sometimes underestimate how powerful it is when you go into a school and open up a space for students to speak about, what's going on inside. But you can, as you said there, you can see the reaction to us coming in and facilitating that space. They're like, whoa. I think it was the boys' school that I used to go to in St. Pat's and Navan. You were in there with Finn a couple of years ago now, maybe. And the boys said to you that was the first time anyone's, chatted to them about what it is to be a man, and, the first time they had these kind of conversations. So yeah, it's great to be able to facilitate people to go a little bit deeper than just talking about the weather. It's like, what is actually going on inside? So yeah. But anyway, I wanted to get on to asking you a bit about your own journey and how you got into well-being and the work that you do, and what was maybe some of the more pivotal moments in your journey that brought you into this space.
yeah, well, it's interesting where we choose to start. I was born, of course, and very lucky to be born into a family that had a lot of love. So it started there. And then we grew up a few more years, and I went to school like the majority of people. Went to a school here out in the countryside of Westmead, and I took up music in school, playing the whistle, and my brother was older than me, so he started a few years before me and inspired me in that direction. And so music came into my life very early, and then just coming to see how it was there all along from my parents' lineages. And always very active, always very privileged to have a lot of space to play around outside in nature with all the stones and the trees. And so those are all the things that really shaped my early years of life. Having access to a lovely, diverse bit of nature around me. And I got into sports then as well as a kid, as a lot of us do. Started to learn many great lessons in that, and found that I happened to be able to run faster than everybody else on the team, so I liked that, and competed a bit in the community games, and went on then to secondary school. And I had a little kind of a transition phase there in my life where I got an appendix flare up and had to get my appendix taken out, and then I had some funny kind of a hip injury that I had to get checked out, and it stopped me from being able to be very physically moving for a couple of months. And I remember my first game back playing football, and the ball was kicked into the middle of the football pitch, and I started sprinting after it, and the fella from the other team was just ahead of me, and usually I'd just fly by the person in front of me, and this time it was really taking me a lot of effort to just get by him, and I got to the ball just before him, and then I just thought that didn't feel that good. I was like, geez, I'm after slowing down. And that was a funny moment because it really inspired me to get involved with an athletics club and pursue that part of myself, because it was the part and the part of myself that felt most alive. It was when I was sprinting as fast as I could. So yeah, into secondary school I went and met some great people in there, and developed my interest further into athletics. Music was always kind of happening in my life. I never gave a lot of attention to it or anything, but it was just something that was happening. My brother was always involved in stuff, and so we happened to get wound up in a few different funny things that led us on to television, talent shows and things like that, where we had gas experiences. But yeah, nice lessons learnt. And that meant that I was in pubs a lot when I was growing up, playing music. And for whatever reason, I never felt like drinking alcohol. And I stayed like that for the rest of my life up until now. So yeah, in secondary school, I had a few of these kind of moments of fame, where, you know, I was on the telly, and I'd be going back into school then, and certain people in school started to kind of treat me differently, and it was a bit funny to see that happen. And obviously then that dropped off, and you know, we moved on, and everybody forgot about all of that. And we came into TY. And in TY then, the reason I done TY was so I would have another year to compete in athletics in school, because that's all that I was thinking about all the time. So I was doing TY, and I started training even harder. And I remember I got 5 hurdles for Christmas that year, because I decided to focus on sprinting over hurdles. It was more fun. And it was a great moment in my life. But what happened then was I couldn't stop myself from going over them. I just kept jumping over these hurdles until my back started to really hurt. And that was my first real meeting with the pain teacher that I've come to call it. And I spent 7 months of transition year not being able to sit down without severe back pain, and really took a hold on me for a long time, until I eventually had to rest for a few weeks and let it get better. But as we were coming near the end of school, I was having to think about what's happening next, and everybody was talking about where they're going to go to college and things like that. And I knew that I wanted to pursue my athletics journey, so I decided to contact a coach over in Florida. Brooks Johnson was his name. He was a legendary coach in the track and field sport. He had an athlete in every Olympics since 1964, and he was coaching my hero at the time, David Oliver. He was the world champion in the event. So I was like, I want to be the best I can be, so I'm going to join the best in the world. And surely that will make it happen. So I sent him an email when I was still in 6th year, not really expecting to hear anything back. But then, to my great surprise, the coach got back to me and said, "You're welcome to come over in the new year and join us." So I was buzzing and ready to leave school, because I never really connected with much of the school work in school. It was the place where I got to meet great friends. But unfortunately, the work in school itself was never something that inspired me. And so I was delighted to be nearly finished school and having this clear dream set of my future, of becoming the best athlete I could be. And we all finished up. our leaving cert, and we met back together again then for our grad, and we had a great time. I was very fortunate to be in a group of people that really connected, and then everybody went their separate ways to college. I got a little job for myself to start saving a bit of money to go away, and kept training. And my best friend at the time, Philip, went over to England, and we were similar in a way that we both wanted to pursue a career in professional sport. So he went to England because that was the place to play soccer, and he was a soccer lover. And 6 weeks into his time over there, he was hit by a truck and died instantly. And that news came back home to all of us here, and it shattered my world completely, and it changed everything in my life from that moment on. And if it wasn't for the love and family that I belonged to, and the friends that I had, that we all came back together and we all held one another in that time of shock and deep grief, I'm fairly sure I wouldn't have been able to make it through on my own. And it's been a great lesson that we can't, there's certain things that we can't do alone. And moving through a grief like that is definitely one of them. So, yeah, the only thing I could really do from that moment on was write. And I got this overwhelming urge to sing. I needed to sing because I really didn't know what else to do. I had been playing music my whole life, but I never really sang. I sang a little bit when I was a child, but for whatever reason, I refrained myself for a good few years. And when Philip passed away, I had to sing. And so I sang for him at his funeral. And I continued singing since then, because I found it a lovely way to connect with myself as well as the people who've gone before me. And singing and writing was all I done for the next few months. I didn't really have the energy to train, even though I had my plans made to go out and train with my heroes. And I didn't have much energy to even eat. But I gathered myself together with the help of a lot of people and managed to start training again before I headed over there to Florida. And now I was going with a completely higher purpose, it felt. I was going to represent my best friend who had died and couldn't pursue his career in sport anymore. So after my heart being broken open and him getting in there and staying with me and giving me that lesson of the connections that we make here when we're alive with our bodies, they can't be broken even by death. If we want to hold on to them, we can. And so I got over there with this new layer of this mission that I was on to be the best I could be, and got to meet all my heroes and train with them every day. And it was a very different environment that I was used to, but learned many lessons over there and came home after the few months training with them, having made no progress in the event that I was training for. And I was obviously disappointed about this because I had set a lot of expectations on myself, and I was definitely down that I hadn't made any progress. It felt partly that I had wasted this opportunity, but I picked myself up from that and continued on the journey of becoming the best I could be. I had this drive still in me to keep going. But I wanted to put all of the lessons I'd learned over there and the different training techniques that I've been doing with these top class athletes. I wanted to put them to work. So I left the training group I was in before I left to America, and I started coaching myself. And I coached myself then for the next 6 years and trained on my own, and spent a lot of time on my own training and writing training programs, and completely focused on this one task of becoming an Olympian. So I had my sights set on the 2020 Olympics in Tokyo, and I didn't look any further from that point. That was the only part of the future that I looked at. And whatever happened after that was going to be sorted out from me achieving this dream goal, you know. So I kept going. I got to travel around Europe at my own expense for a few years, competing and living my dream. And I was met with disappointment after disappointment. I had this bar set as high as I could, and every race I ran, even though I made progress year on year, it still wasn't enough. It was never enough. So after a few years of that stress, I started to pick up a lot more injuries, and a lot of pain started to come into my body. Real naggly pain. I didn't really have any big hamstring tears or anything that would be very common. I was just having these real nagging Achilles pains or back pains. And eventually I was out in the garden one day. It was 2020 at this stage, and I was stacking a few stones on top of each other. Something that I like to do. And next thing, I was thinking about something, which isn't the best idea when you're stacking heavy stones. And a big rock slipped and fell down on my bare foot and broke a few bones there. So I hopped inside in great pain and lay down on the couch, letting a nice scream from my body. And that was the beginning of this forced pause that I had to take on what I was doing in my life. So I had to sit with this pain at a level that I probably hadn't experienced physically before that time. And it gave me this opportunity to pause and reflect on what was working for me in my life and what wasn't working, and where I'm going. And I had to meet grief again in letting go of that dream that I had set the last 6-7 years on, becoming an Olympian. And that was another opportunity to go into the depths of the waters that we have inside of ourselves. And it also gave me great space to start exploring different passions and interests I had all through the later teenage years of my life in health, because I could see it was very linked to performance. And so I found a Czech institute, which is a global holistic health institute, and I signed up to a course with them and started to delve into that whole area of health, and not just in one specific area, but from a view of everything is connected, and how can we better see that so that we can better see what's going on with people if they have certain symptoms, and not getting mad at symptoms or not getting mad at pain and wanting to just take all these things away, but being able to start exploring these things that come up in our lives, these uncomfortable challenges, in a way that could empower us to heal ourselves. So those courses really gave me a lot, and I got some very, very simple models and living philosophies for health and well-being from those courses, like the 4 doctor model that I like to bring into the schools now. But yeah, I started to connect more with my breath because I couldn't really move. I was lying down with my foot elevated for a few weeks, and started to do a lot of breath work. I had touched on breath work a few years previous, but never really given it much time. And then I started to really delve into this power that we have right under our nose, and that helped me fully feel all of the pain that was going through my body, and also with the different techniques that I was learning and how to pause my breath for long periods of time, I could really feel the benefits of my foot healing. And so I continued that practice along with other movement modalities that were much more caring to my body, because I had kind of lost a respect for my body over years of just pushing it at this real high intensity and never really working in and slowing down. So I got back training and was able to start balancing my training a bit more with the Qigong and Tai Chi practices that I was learning, and got back to a decent level, but it just didn't feel the same. And after a while of trying to really get back to where I was at, and I even decided and accepted it was time to join a group, because I had spent too long training on my own. I was trying to figure it out too long on my own. So I joined a great group of people in Dublin for a while, but the same drive and inspiration just wasn't within me, because I felt like I had already let go of that dream. So I decided to take a break and reconnect more with the musician part of myself. And that's what I've been doing for the last few years, as well as moving from helping people with low back pain and digestive issues and helping people relax and release stress from their body through the breath. It's been a lovely journey to just focus on helping others over the last while. And I found my music and writing songs has been so helpful to me that it's been just feeling natural to be sharing those parts of myself with others lately. So I am excited to just keep on allowing myself to create and share and help in ways that I can as I am. And yeah, I fell onto the journey of the Great Wolf Academy a few years ago after we met and connected, and that's been great, because I loved being a teenager, and it's great to be able to go back and connect with them, because not everybody loved being a teenager and not everybody loves being a teenager. It's can be a tricky place to be. So yeah, it's been great to be able to go back and reconnect with them.
Yeah, thank you for sharing all of that, Patrick. Yeah, it was really, I suppose I know a good bit of the story from before, but yeah, I think it's really inspiring to listen to, and there's so much in that story that we could go into more, and yeah, just honouring Philip as well in what you shared there. And yeah, I'm sure people really felt that, such a huge moment in your life as well, just a huge turning point for you. And yeah, it's interesting when you share, about that dream that was so strong in you to pursue becoming an Olympian. And despite the consistent effort and the training and, the dedication and that sole focus, like, to still not achieve that dream by 2020. Like that must have been tough at the time to accept. You know, you said there was grief there that you had to go through to accept that, but and some people might even think like, oh, he failed, or he wasted his time. And what would you say to that if someone said
Yeah,
that? Like, oh,
yeah,
you wasted
it's a
your
good
time.
it's a good point, because we can talk about how powerful goal setting is, for example. And I set goals every year for 6, 7, 8 years. Even when I was in school, I was setting goals for my event, specific times to hit, or certain competitions to qualify for, whatever it might have been. I had these goals written up on my wall, and I'd look at them every day, and I'd feel into them, and I'd fully believe that I'm going to do this. And every year, without fail, I failed. And yeah, so it's a funny kind of place we've come to in this world of competition, that we have such a polarizing view of success and failure, and what they are, because what's meant for us won't pass us, and whatever we choose to put our hearts into, and wherever our heart is bringing us, and that's all I've been following, and that whole journey has been following of whatever that has been in my heart, and that inner feeling of knowing what I have to do, and that's what I've followed, and through that I've learned the lessons that I've needed to learn. So yeah, that's what I'd say. It's about the lessons that we need to learn, that we didn't know we needed to learn. Because we can be so sure of things, and it's great to have a clear vision for our lives, but it's good to know that we don't ever really know what's going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah, and I was smiling there when you said you set goals every year for 7 or 8 years, and without fail, you failed every time. Because I think I was the same, big into goal setting, really clear vision. Like when I was younger, for me, it was wanting to get onto the me team, and for football, and I was on the Meet under 21s for a while, but because of my lack of belief in myself, my mental strength, I just couldn't perform. And I remember trying to get back on the senior team for a couple of years, but probably not as much to the same extent of dedication that you put into it. But I would set my goals, and I'd go down to the beach, and I'd visualize marking Bernard Brogan in Crow Park, and running up the beach and sprinting. And I was doing all of the goal setting techniques. I was writing down the times, visualization, all of that stuff, and still didn't achieve a lot of those things. And I think, what I've learned as well is that yes, there is power in setting that vision, and it can help you get there maybe sometimes, but it's the lessons that you learn along the path, and just trusting that there's a reason you're drawn to that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's the process that we undertake, and I'm sure you'd agree that those moments of visualization, they were great, and though they didn't materialize the way we visualized them too, that part of the process was really valuable, because we were working on that belief in ourselves, and we all could do with that,
Yeah, and it's, as they say, it's a bit cliche, but it's not about the destination. I have my book in the background here, Discover Your Destination. But I even say in the book, it's not about the destination. That's just something to get you moving, and it's about who you become in the process. So, as you said there, and what I think is, whenever I hear a young man or a young woman with a goal, when you're going into schools and they're like, yes, this is my goal, I'm like, great. It doesn't matter. I don't care what it is. Like once you have some sort of thing that you're moving towards, that gives you motivation, that gives you energy to move forward and to push through challenge. Like all of the challenges that you faced as you shared on your journey, the only reason you made it through, yes, with support from people, and we might touch on that as well, but it was because there was a goal at the end of it that you wanted to get to. And maybe at some point you need to let go of those drivers that got you to the place you needed to get to. But I love when I hear young people with some sort of vision for where they want to go, because I think the problem today is a lot of young people don't have any vision, and they don't know. A lot of people don't know what they want to do, and they're scared about the future of the world and how it can look sometimes. If we're looking at the news or social media, there's so much confusion. So it's just trying to help young people find some sort of direction. They don't need all the answers, but just something to move towards.
Yeah, definitely. It's and we need for that to come to some sort of clarity for ourselves when we're young and teenagers, for us to have a clear purpose and a vision to work towards. We need space for that to develop inside of ourselves, and we need to be able to lie down in bed at night without our eyes and our nervous system buzzing from so much light, so much artificial light. We need to be able to give ourselves that space to just be with the darkness and relax and fall asleep like that. And then we can begin to see clearer, and allow that time of connection in the dark. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that image. It's crazy. You need to say that, because it would have been such a normal thing. You just go to bed. I suppose the time we were teenagers, there was phones, but it wasn't as addictive as it is now. And we would usually I definitely just went to bed and in the dark and just lay there with my thoughts for a while before falling asleep. And yeah, it gives you that space just to be with yourself.
Yeah.
Naturally. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like I thought there recently, the things that go without saying are the things that we need to say. Otherwise nobody will say them anymore, and we'll forget. So yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, I think that's, again, what we're really trying to do in the workshops is just help young people find a bit of space in themselves and give them that space. And we were in Mayo there this week doing workshops, myself, yourself, and 4 other facilitators. And I remember we were chatting before the senior cycle workshop, and we just said, just as long as we just slow everything down, that'd be enough. If we just slow down ourselves and that will slow everyone down. That's nearly enough in itself, because everything's just so fast. But yeah, so yeah, thank you for sharing all of that. And something you mentioned in the story as well about not being able to make it through the grief of Philip passing without the help of others. It just struck me as well, because not to be overly focused on problems, but I suppose looking at solutions as well. But in society, it seems like we're going a bit more of an individual route, where it's, even when you're hearing about well-being, it's, in general, it's spoken about from the place of the individual. And so sometimes we get so overly focused on ourselves that we forget it's okay to not be able to overcome everything yourself. We're meant to seek support when, we go through crises such as the loss of a friend or a loved one. And as you said there, you're lucky that you had that support of friends and family around to help you through that time. And yeah, you can nearly sometimes we may even have a belief that it's weak to look for support or that we should be able to process everything ourselves. And I know we have the spiral of well-being that we look at, where well-being includes others, and the earth, not just ourselves. But yeah, I just thought that was such a important point that you brought up about the importance of having others around you.
Yeah. Yeah, but for so many things, it's known all over the world for processing our grief. We can't do that alone. It's not something that we ever do alone. We always have people there together at the toughest times of life when a loved one passes away. But then we're always going through something as well, and that's where, we can. I found working with individuals, coaching individuals, sometimes could turn into this kind of parent-child dynamic, where you're just trying to hand out everything specifically. I can't say that word right now. For this individual, and it's like they're trying to find this easy way out or something. Without, they're looking for this solution without having to do really any work. But when we do this kind of work in a group, we all have to bring our own accountability and responsibility to the space, and we're not just going there for ourselves, because when we go into a group space, we're in a circle together. We're all helping each other. We're all holding one another there at different times, and the benefits of being heard by a group of people are just so great. And to be listened to by a group, that's where we're helped out. But it also helps us individually to listen to others that have nothing got to do with us.
Yes. Yeah, and that's something we've both experienced, the benefits of that circle practice of, we're doing our men's circles at the moment. You've been doing men's circles in Tara with Neil as well recently, and yeah, there's so much healing in that, and so much connection, and so much we can learn, as you said there, from each other. And yeah, and I feel like there's something that happens in our psyche when we isolate ourselves for a bit too long. There seems to be something I've noticed in myself. There's this kind of disconnection and mistrust starts to build, with others, and it's just so important to have that regular connection, and that, like, not just surface level connection, but also being able to share from your heart the bit deeper in that space of where it's a circle, that you're there to be honest, you're there to share and not be judged and not be given advice. You're just there to express what's real for you and be heard, as you said. And there's so many benefits to that for yourself and the group. And just to re-emphasize the importance of not thinking we have to figure all of these well-being things out by ourselves, and we have to be, all these boxes ticked, because it can be overwhelming at times, thinking you have to, do all of these practices, or you have to have all of this stuff sorted out, all of your emotions regulated. And we need each other in this too. And that's why, the work we do, we make sure that that community piece is really at the forefront of it all.
Yeah, absolutely. And, there's so many different ways and services available to everybody today. But it feels to me that the most important of all is free friendship. And if we can all develop friendships from our hearts and be there for one another and have loads of fun, but also be there no matter what. We're going to be, setting one another up in a much more safe and secure place for the future. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think we underestimate as well how important friends are. You know, when you get to a stage in your life maybe where you're starting to have family, men tend to lose friends and don't make the same effort to keep in touch, and that just has such a devastating impact on their ability to deal with challenges in life and their own well-being and sense of play as well, as you said there, like just having fun too. So that's, I know it's something you're passionate about and something I'm passionate about as well, is creating spaces for men to gather, you know, of all ages, to play a bit, to connect with the earth, to connect with themselves, connect with each other. So yeah, it's great to be creating those spaces and with young men and older men. And I think there's even benefit of having those spaces where there's, you know, men of all ages gathering in the same space, to do that work together.
Yeah, definitely. It's something that has been very natural up until not that long ago, that people of all ages are sharing the environment together and the living space, and there's so much wisdom to be shared in those situations, and we can spend time with people that are, you know, a little bit further on than us or just behind us, and we can be reminded of where we've been, or we can be shown, you know, more clearly where we're going, or maybe how to walk in a more harmonious way.
Yeah. And I suppose something else that I was maybe hoping to speak about as well was around, you mentioned the 4 doctors, and I know it's something that we've brought in a course around the 4 elements as well, linking them with the 4 doctors, and as a model for, you know, when we are looking at well-being in terms of different models, I think this one is really easy to use and access and understand, but really powerful at the same time. Yeah, do you want to just as something for maybe people to kind of take away as something they can start to look at their lives through this lens of either the 4 doctors or the 4 elements, linking them together? Maybe that would be a nice way to do it. Yeah, would you like to maybe just share a bit about that?
Yeah, definitely. The 4 doctors and the 4 elements and the 4 seasons, and there's loads of 4s. 4 was always my favourite number, so maybe that's why I've connected with it. So we started with fire. Fire in the centre and in the heart, you know, and we see that as like the spark, your own unique spark. Your dream, you know, is gonna come up out of that fire, and the fire is also in your belly to get you moving on that. And the doctor is Dr. Happy. So Dr. Happy is connected with fire because Dr. Happy is all about living your dream. And, you know, when I had to let go of my dream of becoming a professional athlete, I started to see my life as my dream, and being able to choose what I do every day in my life is me living my dream. So that's what Dr. Happy is about. It's like, what do you love to do? You know, we talk with the students as well about that, and what are your passions? And for us adults to be able to lead by example in that is maybe the most powerful thing we can do for the generations below us, to be able to show children people that are living a life that they really love and they're not just pretending. So that's Dr. Happy and fire. Then we come to the opposite side, and that's water. And water is where we feel, and water is also linked to giving ourselves time to rest and reflect and relax and turn inward. And the doctor that's related to water is Dr. Quiet. So how do you relax in your life? I found when I started doing breathwork classes around the Midlands, people were coming, and it was like the first time that they had fully relaxed in years. And that really surprised me. But it started to turn into this purpose of just helping people relax. And when we can relax again, that can be such a restart of so many perspectives in our life. So that's Dr. Quiet and water. And balancing those two things so that we're lucky enough to have a clear dream and a passion for life, that we don't burn ourselves out, that we can still take the time to rest and relax and slow down and feel the waters of our life moving. Then we come to the earth, our great home. And the earth is all about our sense of belonging and our community, and that connection between ourselves, each other, and nature as a whole, and really feeling that. And how are we living in a way that we can experience that connection? So the earth, and the doctor related to the earth is Dr. Diet. And it's, when I say that word diet, I recognize that there's a lot of negative attachments to that word, and it's been kind of skewed in its meaning because it comes from the Greek or the Latin word, forget now, dieta. So the original meaning of diet is a way of life, a way of living, and our lifestyle. So when we think about where does our food come from, is that part of our life, or is it just a kind of an exterior thing that we go out and grab and bring back home, and then it's part of our life? Like how is your food system part of your life? Where is your water coming from? And are you lucky enough to have water? When we connect with the earth, we can really, really connect with gratitude because we're here. And Dr. Diet is reminding us of that, and reminding us of the importance of community, and what a great way to gather when we have food to bring to one another and celebrate being alive. And the fourth doctor and the fourth element is air. And air is linked to our mind and our thoughts, and what direction our thoughts are moving in. Are our thoughts just going around in circles, or are they moving in a direction that we're intended on? And the doctor that we connect with, the air element, is Dr. Movement. And Dr. Movement is all about where those thoughts are moving, but also about the physical body, and how are we connecting with our body in how we move. So like I was saying, when I was training, I had lost this respect for my body in just overdoing things, overdoing certain aspects of what I was training for, and just focusing on these real intense parts that I enjoyed, and never really coming back and moving in the opposite way, which was slow and relaxed. So yeah, how are you moving every day, and what are you thinking about? And a great way that we can maybe break that down is connecting back with the doctor quiet and taking a pen and paper and physically moving our hand across a page and writing about what we're thinking and how we're feeling. And yeah, I found when we do certain exercises with the pen and paper in the schools, you know, in school we have this, you know, link between the writing exercises and like having to do what you're told, or having to do like specific. There's that word again. Stuck on specific. And you know, so we get very instructed in what to do, and then we're usually tested on it. But we love to be able to give the students a different way to view what writing can be, you know, and for it to be something for ourselves to help us move through our life and reflect as we do it.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for sharing all of that. I think it's such a great framework to work with, to see, am I balanced in these areas? You know, because there is just 4 as well, so it's manageable for your mind to grasp those 4 areas, even though there is so much in them all when you dig into them. But I think it's a really good way to balance everything. Balancing your moving towards your passion and your dream, with taking time to rest, and then also connecting in community, and then, as you're saying there, like looking at your thoughts and making sure it's moving, everything's moving in the right way, including your body. But so yeah, thanks for sharing that, and I hope people, yeah, maybe connect with that in a way, and maybe start to think, what areas in my life could I, yeah, start to lean into a bit more. And I was remembering when you were speaking there about, you know, the different types of movement. I would be more used to tough physical exercise, like going to the gym or running up a hill or climbing a mountain way too many times. And I remember getting onto you once when I was quite stressed, and you were like, it sounds like you need to work in instead of working out, because I was still doing my workouts and I think I injured my back or something. And I think it's such a lovely phrase, working in, and, you know, even doing some sort of qigong or really slow, gentle movement.
Yeah, definitely. It's something that took me a good while to learn about, and it's really, really simple, you know, because when we move our bodies, we create a piezoelectric charge in our tissues, and the slower we move, the greater that charge. So we can turn movement into something that's, you know, really challenging and hard to do, you know, if we're doing real intense workouts, into something that is actually going to regenerate the energy in our body, you know. So yeah, there's so much simplicity in it, and we can go so long without ever even seeing it, you know.
Yeah. So it's kind of knowing when you need that recharge. Like at the moment, it's been quite busy, so I'm like, tough physical exercise is probably not what I need to recharge, but it's that slower movement. Yeah. But yeah. But
it's good. It's good to remember, that what you mentioned there, like, you know, stress is stress in our life, whether it's mental, emotional, physical, whatever it is, to our body, it's still stress. So when we are, you know, training or whatever we're doing in our lives, or maybe we're like moving house or something big is happening, it's good to be aware of that and to tone down. If you're training really hard for something, maybe like just work in a bit more, so you're not bringing in more stress. Because it's a big part of managing our lives is managing our stresses, isn't it?
Yeah, and then I think the thing I hear a lot from teachers or principles is I don't have time to slow down, and it's
Yeah,
you can't. It's a funny paradox, but the thing that I've noticed, like I'm busy entrepreneur, and the thing I've noticed is when I slow down, things just seem to flow better, and everything starts to work better.
yeah. When you slow down, you have more time. You do. And so maybe some people say well, we're all going to take a certain amount of breaths in our life, so we can have a great impact on how fast or slow we take those breaths. And maybe we're assigned a certain number of breaths before we're born. And when we take all those breaths, then we leave. So maybe we just need to slow down, and then we'll have more time.
Yeah, I love that. That's a great way to finish, I think, with that thought. Maybe we only have a certain number of breaths, so we should start breathing a bit slower.
Yeah.
But yeah, thanks again, Patrick, for coming on to have a chat today. I feel we could have many more chats on many different topics, and maybe we will in the future. But it was great to delve into your story a bit, and there's so many lessons in there for people listening, I think. And that's why I love stories, is because people can take different things from them, and that's why we share stories in the schools, because students might resonate with different parts. But yeah, thank you for being so open and honest in your sharing, and yeah, it's also a real privilege to have you as part of the Wolf Academy team, and you've been delivering great workshops and bringing great ideas and courses to us with all your wisdom. So thank you for that, and your joy and your music is always lightens everything. So yeah, very grateful for that too.
Thanks yourself, Cormac. It's been great to be on the journey with you, and it feels like we're only getting going.
Yeah, I think so. But so if anyone is interested, you can find Patrick on Instagram, he has some great music up on YouTube as well. I'll link the details for your Instagram account and the music in the show notes if anyone wants to check out more from Patrick. Or do you have anything coming up you wanted to mention?
I have songs for the 4 doctors that I'll be sharing soon. So, we'll keep you up to date on that. Nice ways to connect with that model. Yeah.
Brilliant. So yeah, if you follow Patrick on YouTube or Instagram, you'll probably see those 4 doctors coming up soon, and connecting with those. But yeah, thanks again, Patrick, for that, and we look forward to chatting to you again soon.
Yeah. Thanks, Cormac.
Slán go fóill.